West, Sub-Working Group 1.2, Trafficking of Synthetic Drugs. It's a pleasure to see you all here once again for another session. We are going to start with some administrative announcements before we begin with our session for today. I want to discuss 3 different sectors and what we are thinking about over the coming months. First, we'll start with civil society. We will be hosting a Global Coalition Civil Society Forum. This will actually be hosted by the Vienna NGO Committee in collaboration with the New York NGO Committee on the 1st of February in 2 sessions from 9 to 11 and then from 4 to 6. This is Central European time. At this meeting, coalition governments are encouraged to attend and listen to civil society organizations in their remarks and presentations. Second, we are also beginning our Global Coalition National Dialogues between governments and civil society organizations. Today, the United States will host its national dialogue. It will be hosted by the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, open to U.S. civil society organizations. We have shared with them background on the coalition's work and are inviting them to deliver remarks. These remarks will be recorded and posted on our coalition website. If you notice, there's a new section on the coalition website for civil society that we have recently put up. Likewise, we invite all of you colleagues to host your own national meetings with civil society organizations to discuss the global coalition and synthetic drug threats. And if you're able to host these, please send us either a recording or a written summary that we can also post on the civil society page of our website. Finally, the Vienna NGO Committee will be collecting additional feedback, recommendations, ideas from civil society organizations, and we will make these also available to you, again, through the coalition website. Next, I want to discuss the second sector, the university sector, academia, and I want to introduce ICU-DDR, which is the International Consortium of Universities for Drug Demand Reduction. This NGO was established in 2016 with funding from INL. There are currently 422 members, universities from around the world. And ICU-DDR is going to convene universities to reflect on the challenges of synthetic drugs and to share with us research, different policy ideas, different recommendations for policies. The discussions are going to focus on all 3 working group themes. So even though they focus on demand reduction, traditionally, they will also be incorporating supply and also data collection. And the activities that they will embark on are 3. First, they will host regional focus group virtual meetings in 6 regions of the world. Those are, as you see on the screen, Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, Latin America, Caribbean, Middle East, US, Canada, to develop recommendations and to prepare a report for governments. This will be between February and March. Then between April to June, they will once again convene 6 regional virtual meetings with universities, this time also with governments, to discuss recommendations, to have an exchange between governments and university participants, and to incorporate views from these government representatives. A report will be developed and once again posted on our website. And finally, the universities will conduct an inventory of different initiatives that they have, which can support the Global Coalition's work, and those, once again, will be documented on our website. There will be a new tab, a new section for university engagement on the website. The final sector is the private sector, and we are currently sharing internally a plan to engage private sector that will be shared with co-chairs as well, and all of you colleagues as well. And then it will be presented next month at our February administrative announcement section. I want to also provide an update on the coalition website. We have a new communication feature that will allow participants to share content like similar to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. It will go live in February and require account activation from coalition participants. You will need to log into the website so that you're able to post content. So in the coming weeks, please be on the lookout for an email that will invite you to create an account and to post content. We welcome you to use that space to share recommendations for the coalition, post news, and also share experiences. And here's a screenshot of what it may look like, where you have a text box, you can add images, you can reply to other colleagues that have posted, and have sort of an interactive sort of exchange of experiences and content. I want to conclude by discussing sort of this very critical phase of the coalition as we enter these months that begin implementation. So I want to share with you that we are starting a new section also on the website called Initiatives or Global Initiatives. In a sense, it will provide you a menu of programs, actions, and policies. Between December to January, we asked international organizations to send us a list of initiatives. And what they have sent us is a very rich and very useful catalog of over 120 initiatives that we as an international community can look at, can consider, can participate in. And so we are currently in the process of polishing that and getting that ready for the coalition website in that new initiatives section that I mentioned. This is a little bit of what each of the menu items will look like. It has an initiative or project title. There's a description, which is a small paragraph. That is followed by background documentation or videos. That then follows with accomplishments to date, if it's an existing initiative. Sometimes there are new initiatives. Then we have program activities, the concrete steps in undertaking this work. Then we have outcomes at the global and national levels. We will also have the list of countries that are currently participating in these initiatives. And then there's an email address of a point of contact. So if you would like to reach out to participate in this initiative, you could always contact that person and register your interest. In fact, we're asking you to please do so over the coming months. The months would be February to March. We would be asking you to identify the initiatives, go through the menu, and then express interest to the international organization staff member that has developed that or is responsible for that initiative. Then in March, we'll have a further opportunity to engage and discuss at the CND. I think a lot of people on the call will be going to the Commission on Narcotic Drugs. And then April to June, we begin the implementation phase. That is only to begin, not to conclude. We feel that these programs will operate for many years to come. And so this is just the kickoff phase or the intensification phase of initiatives, April to July. Now, I want to conclude today by also sharing the discussion of recommendations, which is also very important for our coalition's work. Our team has been reviewing the topics from the monthly coalition meetings that have been presented. And based on those, we have been working to craft a list of recommendations, a draft list of recommendations. During the month of February, we are going to share that list with co-chairs, and we will be posting those recommendations on the website. And then on the 6th and 7th of March, we have a very important meeting. It will be working group meetings. We will not have sub-working group meetings during the month of March. It will be a mid-term check-in for the coalition. And we will have sub-working group co-chairs reporting to working group co-chairs the progress that has been made over the past months in the coalition, and also presenting the draft list of recommendations for each of the sub-working groups. At that time, governments will be able to provide exchanges of views and help us further strengthen that list. And then those recommendations will be posted on the website. But we will continue to welcome further input from participants, and those will can be submitted through this mechanism that we just previously described on this posting forum that we will have on the website. So that was a lot of information, which I'll repeat again in 55 minutes. But for now, let me just stop sharing my screen and turn it over to our co-chairs, George Pasiaskos and Michael Alexandrowicz, for today's session. Thank you both, and thank you all.
Thank you, Brian. My name is George Pasiaskos. I'm with the U.S. Customs.
George, my apologies. If we can ask you to speak a little bit closer to your device. You are very distant and very echoey, so a little bit closer to your device, please. Thank you.
You got it. Can you hear me?
Much better. Thank you.
Excellent. My name is George Pasiaskos. I'm with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Assistant Director for Border Security in the New York field office. We're short on time today. I'm going to introduce my co-chair, Michael Alexander from Poland.
Hello, dear colleagues. Thank you, George. My name is Michał Aleksandrowicz. I'm the head of the organized drug crime department in the Polish Police Central Bureau of Investigation. I'm also the driver of the priority dedicated impact priority dedicated for the NPS and synthetic drugs in the European Union. So, dear colleagues, I know that the schedule for today is very tight. We don't have much time, for additional discussions. For sure, it will be at the end of our meeting, but at first I would like to introduce the first speaker for today. So then we'll proceed with the agenda. The first speaker will be Yeung Wong from the Technical Attache from the World Customs Organization's Drugs and Precursors Program. So the presentation will be about the canine drug detection. So, dear colleague, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, thank you very
Yes,
much. So if you could please show your presentation if you have it, and then the floor is yours, please.
Yeah, sure. Can you see my screen?
We can see your presentation. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. And good afternoon, co-chairs. And good morning, Brian and INL colleagues. It's great to see you again in the meeting room. And also greetings to all participants of this working group meetings. My name is Wong. I'm a technical attaché in the World Customs Organization, WCO, and I'm working in the WCO Drugs and Precursors program. Promoting detected dog development is one of the focusing area of the WCO drugs program, as we see the great potential of detected dogs in detecting and deterring drug trafficking, including that of synthetic drugs. I would like to acknowledge this global coalition to address synthetic drug threats initiative and the work being undertaken by the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, or INL, of the US Department of State. And it is a real pleasure to provide this presentation here. I would also like to acknowledge the participation of customs administrations and our partner agencies in this coalition to deliver tangible outcomes against this initiative. Sorry, I'm moving my PowerPoint to the next slide to see if it works correctly.
I believe now we still see your title slide.
Yes.
And now we see the next slide with the dog. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Customs administration play a very important role in facilitating the legitimate movement of people and goods across its borders, the collection of revenue, and deterring and detecting the transshipment, importation, or exportation of synthetic drugs, as well as that of other types of prohibited and regulated goods. Customs officers carry out controls in entry and exit channels, including patrolling the border, targeting, inspecting, and examining of passengers, cargo, conveyance, mail, and parcels to detect the illicit trafficking of synthetic drugs and other contrabands. They control the clearance on import and export of goods to regulate the legitimate flow of controlled substance, such as chemicals that can be used in the manufacturing of illicit synthetic drugs. Many customs administrations are also empowered to undertake enforcement operations to address illegal activities related to the manufacture, supply, and distribution of illicit drugs, including synthetic drugs. As such, customs are at the front line of protecting our country against the synthetic drugs and other contrabands, and responding to the global supply chain being exploited to transport and distribute these illicit goods. So what are the benefits of using detected dogs to address the manufacture, supply, and distribution of synthetic drugs and other contrabands? Over a long period of time, dogs have been proven to be a very valuable detection tool used by customs, police, military, and many other government and private organizations. Custom detected dogs and their handlers can provide a positive and professional public image for their agency, a deterrence effect at the border, and with the acute sense of smell of dogs, detect a range of prohibited or regulated goods, including synthetic drugs. Detected dogs are an invaluable, non-intrusive mass screening tool that can be deployed against both target and non-targeted people and goods with agility and speed across multiple and fast-moving operating environments. The non-intrusive nature of their screening process minimizes the disruption in facilitating the legitimate movement of people and goods. Nowadays, modern technology assists customs and other organizations more than before in detecting concealed contraband, and we are better equipped with the different types of technologies available. However, lie detector dogs, these modern tools have their limitations. For example, X-ray scanning has difficulty in distinguishing between substances of similar nature. Ion mobility spectrometer need a clean and decent environment to function properly. Detector dogs complement the use of other technologies such as X-ray, trace and substance detection equipment, etc., by providing an additional source of information that may change the level of suspicion over a person or goods, and assist in identifying priority areas for a more detailed search or examination. In some cases, detector dogs are deployed instead of where other technological solutions are not able to be used, and they provide an alternative border control strategy to screen large volumes of people and cargo, freeing up finite customs officers to address other high priority roles and responsibilities. So detector dogs can be very effective border control strategy and are used by many customs administrations. Noting the many benefits derived through the effective deployment of detector dogs to find synthetic drugs and other contraband, due to the complexities of establishing and maintaining a program involving living animals, there are a range of other challenges faced by detector dog programs and their organizations. These challenges include, first, an ability to source, train, and maintain high-quality detector dogs to detect synthetic drugs. This is because although there are different breeds of dogs used very effectively for detection work, some organizations find it challenging to meet the cost of finding or source of finding high-quality dogs for their program, including replacing dogs after retirement. Also, due to the technical and specialist nature of detector dog programs, it can be challenging to maintain a contemporary training program, including the introduction of new target odors. This training includes the ability to maintain the ongoing proficiency of the dogs through a comprehensive quality assurance program and an ability to run dogs over drug detections in the operating environment or across to real or pseudo training aids, etc. Second, ensuring there are sufficient policies and procedures to manage the detector dog program and fit-for-purpose infrastructure and security protocol to provide for the health and well-being of the dogs during their working life, including a plan for their retirement and safe and secure storage of the use of training aids. Third, due to the illicit manufacture of types of packaging and concealment methodologies used with many synthetic drugs, there are several risks to the health and safety of customs officers, including handlers and their detector dogs, when deploying them in different operating environments, with the potential of exposure to a number of hazards, including synthetic drugs. Fourth, like customs officers, dogs are finite resources, so it is very important that sufficient intelligence informs operational areas, including detector dog units, to ensure that resources are deployed at the right place at the right time to maximize the opportunity of detecting synthetic drugs. This also includes the ability for customs officers, including dog handlers, having access to contemporary drug intelligence reports. Last but not least, as organized crime groups continue to adopt and evolve part of their illicit business, including manufacture, packaging, and concealment, transport, and commodity types, in response and with other targeting and detection capabilities, there is the challenge of ensuring that a detector dog program remains contemporary and be able to quickly respond to these crime groups and the new trends. This can be through new trainings or deployment methodologies, introduction of new target odor profiles, and use of new technologies such as storage devices for training aids. Modernization may also involve working with other customs administrations, government and non-government organizations, including academia. So how are detector dog programs being used to address the threats of synthetic drugs? Borders between countries may divide. However, there are strong connections between customs administrations. The World Customs Organization, or WCO, is the organization uniting virtually all customs around the world. Today, the WCO comprises of 185 member customs working together on all aspects of customs duties, including drug enforcement. The WCO Secretariat is headquartered in Brussels, Belgium, and runs the day-to-day operation of the World Customs Organization. The Drugs and Precursor Program of the WCO is the dedicated office for supporting and mobilizing member customs on drug enforcement, including that against synthetic drugs. One of the major current projects in the WCO drugs program is the Synthetic Drugs Detection Project that is funded by the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, or INL, of the US Department of State. We thank you very much. The objective of this joint WCO-INL project is to coordinate a multi-jurisdictional approach against the organized crime groups and the illicit trafficking of synthetic drugs across all affected regions and enhance cross-border law enforcement cooperation. Through this project, the intention is to reduce synthetic drugs trafficking by improving detection techniques and strengthen internal coordination and international cooperation to effectively combat the activities of these crime groups. There are three important components in this synthetic drugs detection project. The first component is on general aviation. Through the transference of knowledge and skills and the introduction of tailor-made tools, the project aims to strengthen the capability of customs and other agencies concerned with the controls on small aircraft movements to increase their ability to prevent this conveyance from being used to transport synthetic drugs across borders. The second component is on the mail channel, which has been showing an alarming trend in the illicit distribution of drugs, in particular that of synthetic drugs. Through capacity building activity for both customs and postal operators, the project aims to strengthen the controls over mail channels and promote customs postal cooperations. The third component is on Canine, or the use of detected dogs, which can provide support to the other two components of the project, and is the topic that I'm sharing today.
Excuse me, Mr. Wong, if you could please slowly conclude because we have limited time today.
Yeah, sure. So the Canine initiative of the Synthetic Drugs Detection Project aims at supporting customs canine forces to better tackle the challenges imposed by the synthetic drugs threats and strengthen the capability of customs in synthetic drugs detection by better utilizing the potential detector dogs. There are two pillars in this component. The first pillar is capacity building activities, including national training and regional workshops. The second pillar is the formulation of an expert group, canine expert group, for the condensation of knowledge and best practice and sharing among customs canine forces to promote the upgrade and continuous development of customs canine forces. We will carry out the capacity building through the WCO regional capacity building strategy, including our regional training centers and regional dog training centers around the world. Complementing the synthetic drugs detection project, WCO is also continuing to promote canine development of customs administration. The most significant event is the WCO Global Canine Forum. In this forum, it's a very unique opportunity for canine personnel to meet with peers around the world. The coming WCO Canine Global Canine Forum will be held on the 5th to 7th of March 2024 in Hong Kong, China. So we look forward to the participation of customs administration at this important event, including whether or not they have an existing detector dog unit, as the forum will also provide benefits to strategic planning and modernization initiatives. To summarize, detector dogs can be a highly effective tool for detecting and deterring synthetic drugs trafficking. WCO Drugs Program will continue to support and motivate our member customs to upgrade their canine forces. That's all my sharing today. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to take any questions if we have time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. We will move along just because we have so much to get to, and if there is time at the end, we'll make time for questions. I'd ask the speakers, please keep the presentations to what the time is allotted, so that we don't fall too far behind. The next presentation, a new initiative by the Postal Synthetic Drug Detection Program, and this is by Astrid, Heiter, the technical attaché for the World Customs Drug and Precursor Program. Again, we have 10 minutes allotted.
Thank you, for giving me the floor. I will share my presentation in a second. Should work. Okay. So.
And we can see your presentation. You may want to move it into the slide mode. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So greetings from Brussels. My name is Astrid Heiter, and I'm a technical attaché with the WCO Drugs and Precursors program. Wong, who just gave the presentation, is my colleague. We work in the same team, and I'm from German Customs originally. And I'm pleased to have the opportunity to connect with you today and raise awareness about a very special project, the SDDP-MC, which stands for Synthetic Drugs Detection Project, and within this project, the Mail Channel Initiative. So illicitly manufactured synthetic drugs pose significant threats to global health, security, and well-being. Addressing this issue requires collective action. No single country can tackle this alone. Therefore, as a law enforcement community, we must deepen cooperation with other stakeholders and respond to new and emerging drug threats. The drug problem is transnational, it's global, and therefore it requires collaborative efforts to tackle it. Recognizing the alarming trend and severe threats posed by synthetic drugs, the World Customs Organization, in collaboration with the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, INL, of the US Department of State, has devised an action plan to holistically address the illegal trafficking of synthetic drugs. This action plan identified 2 high-risk conveyance channels for taking specific actions, and these are the general aviation and the mail channel. My colleague Ocean already explained that this action plan has like 3 components, namely the general aviation, the Canine, and as another component, the mail channel. So right now I would like to talk about the mail channel. So we have to take action against synthetic drugs and the synthetic drugs threat, but why does addressing the synthetic drug threat requires a focus on the mail channel? The growth of e-commerce presents many challenges, with shipments carrying health, safety, and economic security risks similar to containerized ones. Due to the complex and dynamic nature of the industry, e-commerce shipments lack full visibility into the supply chain. The sheer volume of packages, small packages, makes it challenging to identify and interdict those presenting high risk. Additionally, vague and inaccurate electronic data from certain trade entities pose significant challenge in targeting shipments, and we have been observing this strong trend. Illicit drug trafficking through the mail channel has surged tremendously in recent years. This trend highlights the mail channel's popularity among drug traffickers, and this has serious implications. First, the well-developed postal network facilitates extensive distribution of drugs worldwide, bypassing the need for dealers and wholesalers. This results in an overwhelming number of sources constantly replenishing drug supplies worldwide at any time and from anywhere. Second, the efficient distribution network allows drugs to quickly penetrate countries and populations. The ease of online platforms and the mail channel makes drugs purchase just a few clicks away. Lastly, drug traffickers exploiting mail channels not only pose a retail level crime, but also disrupt legitimate parcel deliveries, impeding e-commerce growth and incurring delays and additional costs. So the issue of drugs in mail channels extends beyond retail crime, impacting the overall security and well-being of entire countries. These are the reasons why we have to take action and fight drugs in the mail channel. The World Customs Organization, the Universal Postal Union, UPU, and the International Narcotics Control Board, INCB, are joining efforts in deterring synthetic drugs trafficking in the mail channel. Customs have the expertise in contraband detection. UPU is proficient in postal logistical operation, and INCB possesses extensive knowledge of synthetic drugs and their characteristics. Leveraging the expertise and profession of these three parties will not only strengthen the capability of frontline officers in detecting and deterring synthetic drugs in the mail channels, but will also foster and increase cooperation between customs and postal operators. We will implement this mail channel initiative in phases with the initial focus on the Asia-Pacific region. So what do we have foreseen in the framework of this mail channel initiative? Each phase will be started from an assessment on potential beneficiary members with the objective to identify vulnerabilities and threats in their mail channels and understand the legal and institutional framework for controlling synthetic drugs. The assessment and selection process involves both virtual and in-person components. We have already initiated the virtual assessment by sending out a survey to all potential beneficiary members in the Asia-Pacific region. So we sent that out in the end of November last year, and we have by now already received remarkable feedback and engagement with nearly 70% of the WCO members in the region actively participating in this survey. So this outcome is particularly encouraging considering the voluntary nature of the survey and the fact that this is significantly surpasses the typical response rate for similar surveys. The substantial response not only reflects the interest of our members of the customs administrations in the regions, the interest they have in fighting synthetic drugs in the mail channels, but also underscores that this survey was really relevant to them. So with this overwhelming positive turnout, this is a clear indicator of the importance of this project. We are currently evaluating and analyzing the results, which will give us a good overview of the current situation in the region when it comes to drug controls in the main channel. And we will start performing scoping missions to the eligible countries by February this year.
I just want to give you a 2-minute warning.
Yeah, thanks. What we also have foreseen in the framework of the project, we will conduct a capacity building program for the selected beneficiary countries in the region with experts from WCO, UPU, INCB, and other drug enforcement agencies who will deliver tailor-made training in 2 workshops. The project has been receiving substantial support by the WCO regional training centers, the RTC Thailand and the RTC Indonesia. Both RTCs are assisting in organizing logistics and ensuring a secure environment for our workshops by generously offering their facilities. So when we look at the content of the workshops, the special feature of these workshops is that these workshops will target participants, include both like from customs and postal operators, to facilitate a better understanding and fostering effective cooperation between customs and post. The overall aim is to enhance capacities for identifying and detecting the trafficking of drugs, especially synthetic drugs, in the mail channel. Additionally, we aim to provide information on instruments, tools, and standards of WCO, UPU, and INCB, and we're going to share best practices. The focus will be on the identification of synthetic drugs and their components, as well as targeted analysis of synthetic drugs in the mail channel. And this first phase will conclude in an operation with the knowledge and techniques acquired in the workshops. A regional or enforcement operation targeting illicit drugs in the mail channel will be jointly organized by WCO, UPU, INCB, and other international organizations. And this operation will involve the participation of customs administrations, designated postal operators in the region, and the related Regional Intelligence Liaison Office, RILO Asia Pacific. In conclusion, I would like to emphasize that it takes a network to fight a network. Therefore, in collaboration with INCB and UPU, we will actively foster cooperation and fortify our network in the fight against synthetic drug trafficking. Together, we have the power to make a significant impact and create a safer and healthier future. And with this being said, back to you, George and Michael. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Astrid, for your presentation. Dear colleagues, let's proceed to the last presentation for today, but not the last speaker. So the next presentation will be related to the global cybercrime program, and this presentation will be done by Ms. Mariana Keifer, Cybercrime Regional Coordinator of South America from the Global Program on Cybercrime UNODC. Mariana, are you with us?
Estoy aquí, muchas gracias. Un gusto saludarlos.
I am here. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to greet you. Can you hear me well? Very well. Thank you very much to the co-chairs and all of you who shared the panel with me. Antonio, Deborah, Brian, Asma, all of you. Thank you very much. My name is Mariana Keifer. I'm the Regional Coordinator of Cybercrimes for South America, and I have been implementing with my team a project on interruption of the online synthetic drug traffic. I'm speaking in Spanish because, as the chair just said, we will include the participation of 3 special agents in cybercrime and drugs, and the screening of Colombia, Uruguay, and Paraguay, so that we can all hear each other and we can all share. With no further ado, I am going to share my screen with you. And there are some microphones turned on. Would you please turn them off? They are interrupting. Just 1 second. I'm trying to share my screen. Very well. I am having a problem with trying to share my screen, even though I've practiced it and tested it. But if you give me 1 minute more, and we'll continue.
And Mariana, you may want to click the share button, green button at the bottom of your screen. So that
Sí,
the top
exactamente, lo
left-hand
estoy
option.
cliqueando, ya lo había compartido antes, pero no se
Yes,
puede.
I had done that before, but for some reason I'm not being able to do it now, but no problem. I will continue without the presentation, and I will just comment on what we're doing in our global program. We are implementing, together with the opium strategy of UN Nation, money laundering and INL, a project to counteract online drug trafficking of synthetic drugs, specifically in the South Pacific and South America. We're implementing the project, have been doing so for over 3 years in both regions, and in Latin America, we are currently working in 6 countries in the region: Uruguay, Paraguay, Peru, Ecuador, Dominican Republic, and Colombia. Last year, we also worked with Mexico and Jamaica. Recently, I heard the different ways for the trafficking of the synthetic drugs and the chemical precursors. And what we see is a surge of all types of new technologies to commit traditional crimes like drug trafficking, specifically the synthetic drug trafficking. We've worked and published with the opium strategy and with the help of INL an analysis of the threats in the Southeast Asia as well as Latin America, specifically in Latin America, on the sale and traffic through the dark net. In other words, not in the open web that we all know and the social networks and things like that, like Facebook or Google search. And they traffic to the dark net, and payment is usually done in the cryptocurrency. Interestingly, the evaluation of the possible threats shows that there could be traffic and the methodology for the delivery. And here we check with past programs like the classical delivery through the post or through different apps where some services are requested so that they can receive it directly at their front door. Why is this happening? Well, as we all know, the internet is very anonymous, as you well know. Before, in the common traditional traffic, we saw that there was a territory where we could have different entrances, as we call them, for the distribution. But here, the person is selling these substances or the final products, like the products used for manufacturing, behind a keyboard and use, and we talk about the pseudo-anonymous, they use the cryptocurrency, avoiding any type of contact with the people and downloading, reducing the detection rates through the law enforcement system, because we used to use the patrolling or the investigation in the physical world where we were able to find a site, a place, and where we could do the investigation. But this is done all online, which means that there are other skills required for us, and we're going to hear about it from the law enforcement agencies. During the last 2 years in Latin America, we've been working with these countries, training the seizures, for tracing the cryptocurrency through the blockchains, and the different tools that we could use, as well as tracing through the dark net. What's happening in Latin America in general is that not only are they using the dark net, they are using the open network as well. We find, just to mention a few, the social networks where there are users who directly offer the substances, and what's also known as the instant messaging groups. As you know, there are several of these, and that all depends on the investigation, will depend on the law enforcement's knowledge to get the information from the private sector, because we know that all these are platforms managed by the private sector. Here, we not only have to consider the private sector, we also have to consider the transnational element, because usually the sale can be done in one territory, from one country to another, from one continent to another. And then there's the third actor, which is the private sector, from whom I'm going to have to get information from. And this is replicated with the cryptocurrency, because we have the exchange that begin to play a very important role within the framework of the investigation. And as we know, they are lodged in different countries, and the legislations are different in the different countries of Latin America, as well as from Europe. So we need new skills when doing the investigations. Just to give you an idea of my background, I'm working on the dual cybercrime program, but I used to work with the public ministry in the prosecutor's office for many years, and I began to get into this world precisely because of all the things that came up in the investigations. So we worked with this, with the 6 countries I mentioned, trying to create the synergies. It's very important, and this is something that we heard from the speakers before, these synergies between the different forces and the different programs and the different countries. So Internet, as we know, has no borders, and that is what leads to that pseudo-anonymous element of these individuals. So I'm going to need to get information of digital evidence, which is completely different from the physical evidence that we're used to using. And we're going to need to communicate and see what's the modus operandi or what's happening in other countries, which is usually going to be replicated soon in my country. And that's what we found all the time because, as I said, internet has no borders and they're using all the modus operandi that is useful for these types of traffics. So what we suggest is training jointly with the countries. Paraguay has shared with Uruguay, Colombia has shared with the Dominican Republic, Mexico has also shared with Colombia, Peru has worked with Ecuador. And in this way, we get all the actors who are participating in this type of investigation be in contact with each other. And then the idea is, and I'll end with that to give the floor to the other agents who were kindly willing to participate today, to see what I call the big picture. Because usually, if I'm going to focus only on the cryptocurrency or blockchain or the seizures and the darknet, then I'm losing sight of other things that are also occurring, like the open web and other challenges that can arise when obtaining information, which can also affect absolutely all the different steps of the investigation, from the detection and the way in which I preserve the page. How can I keep the group of instant messaging where these substances are being offered, which is going to be vital. And it must be preserved correctly so that it can be used in the trial and so that the judge can understand it. And then getting on with the investigation, obviously, if I have the cryptocurrency, how can I do the appropriate tracing? And if I'm going to go to an exchange, how do I get the information? How can I add that information, which is in many countries of Latin America, means that we have to ask for authorization from the judge. So the judge has to understand what I'm asking for. And then all of this is combined with the forensic area as well, because when I come to a house, a physical site, as we know, and I have to go and do an operation, and I know that they're using crypto or that the communications are done through some messaging channel, which I might not be able to recover later, often I need to act in the site and at the time to collect the digital evidence so that I can seize the crypto. And for that, I need the right technical, specialized people who have the knowledge and the necessary tools to do the seizure and the extraction on site, or to preserve some information of the digital evidence, which is often lost if I just send, if I don't take it at the minute I see it. And then I go directly into what's called the seizure itself.
Mariana,
And,
sorry to interrupt
Mariana.
you, but we have to shortly go to the presentations with the testimonies from the three countries. So because we got 10 minutes left to our meeting, so if you could,
Perfecto.
at this moment,
Ya
if
estoy
it's
cerrando.
possible, and if you
I'm
could please
closing,
share
I'm
your
closing.
presentation after the meeting, so we'll distribute it to the meeting participants. Is it okay for you? Sorry to do it, but I had to. Right.
Sí,
Thank
sí,
you.
por
Yes,
supuesto.
sure, of course. I'll just close. The role of the forensic experts when checking to see what's in the digital devices that were seized and what it shows me and what I can get virtually, and if I can proceed to seizures from there, or the information that is going to help me with data of modus operandi or the organized crime. To close, what we want is that we not only have the drug units intervening, we want the cybercrime units that are cooperating with us, and they're already working with us, as well as the forensic laboratory. So in the project, we work with a synergy between the different units, and each country has followed a different approach, as we'll see with Paraguay, who creates within its National Drug Secretariat a cybercrime unit with the implementation of the project. Uruguay works with or in cooperation with the cybercrime and drugs, and Colombia shows the screening unit. And I thank you all for coming here and joining us today. With this, I'm going to send you the presentation. I don't know why I wasn't able to share it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Mariana, for your presentation. And let's go quickly to the first testimony by Mr. Adan Alfredo Ayala Aranda, the special agent from Paraguay. Dear colleague, if you could please take the floor, and 2 minutes, please try to be tight and provide a short testimony about the cybercrime.
Can you hear me? There's a lot of echo from Paraguay. Very quickly. I don't want to take up too much time. We had a case we called neuroevolution, where we see synthetic and semi-synthetic drugs and hallucinogens. With the training we got from the UNDC people, we were able to get all the digital evidence. In this case, the modus operandi of the networks was through WhatsApp, Telegrams, and Instagram. And we saw that one of the distributors, who was in one of the universities, was using the WhatsApp to distribute his synthetic drugs. We sent in an undercover agent. We gained their trust and began to create profiles on Instagram in order to access the purchase of the drugs. Thanks to the training that we got from UNDC, the day we did the training, we were able to see the computers, the external disk, and they had a drug purchaser who turned out to be one of our main targets in one of our operations last December. And the subject was distributing weapons, and he was a pedophile. So the day of the raid, we found digital evidence in his house of this pedophile. And right now we're working with the prosecutor's office on the cybercrime in Paraguay so that we can get into the pedophile networks. But it's thanks to that we were able to have this enormous operation where we found LSD, hallucinogen, the fungi, mushrooms, and a lot of many drugs. And thank you very much from Paraguay. I'm the head of cybercrime in SYNAP. Thank you for having me.